1 hour or less.
Cito gets members home or back to boating faster. Become a member today at Cito.com or call 850-234-2323.
Welcome to the house. It's time for the Afternoon Underdogs.
It's happening. Wow. It's on right now.
Opinionated and unfiltered. The hot takes, the rants, and the sports talk you crave.
Give it to me.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You are now tuned into the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We are on 104.3 right here in beautiful Panama City. And boy, is it beautiful out there this afternoon. And 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher. We're taking your calls and texts today at 850-215-6290. And we're also going to be playing a little Braves trivia throughout the day, honestly. So if you guys want to go ahead and start getting that going, I've got 30 questions pertaining to the Atlanta Braves, and we're going to give you 5 at a time. So you get 1 if you continue to go, if you get that right, then you go up to 5. That gives us an opportunity to try to have 6 winners. They wouldn't be winners. We'd have to figure out a tiebreaker at that point. But whoever gets the most Braves trivia questions right will be getting a pair of tickets, not a pair of tickets, a group of 4 tickets to the Atlanta Braves, which is going to be next Friday when they're taking on the Pirates. I know Max Fried is going to be on the mound for the Braves that day. I don't think it's going to be Paul Skeens going for the Pirates, but it's still going to be a great time up there in Truist. And those Atlanta Braves tonight are taking on the New York Yankees up there in New York, and that is going to be a good one between the Braves and the Yankees tonight. You've got Chris Sale going for the Braves, 9-2, ERA of 2.98. He's got 81.2 innings pitched, 99 strikeouts to this point on the year, only 13 walks, and only given up 6 home runs. He's going to be going up against Carlos Rodon, who is 9-3 on the year, ERA of 3.28. He's got 71 hits that he's given up with 81 strikeouts, 23 walks, and 11 home runs. Aaron Judge is in the lineup. Juan Soto's in the lineup. Yeah, the Yankees are going to be at full force tonight. Volpe leading it off for him. Giancarlo Stanton is playing designated hitter for him. So Verdugo's not going to be playing. He made a great play, not last night, but the night before, I believe, and smashed into the wall. I don't know if that has anything to do with his absence tonight, but the Atlanta Braves got Kelenic leading it off. Ozzie Albies batting second. Ozuna batting third. Olsen cleaning it up. Austin Riley batting fifth. Sean Murphy batting sixth. Adam Duvall will be in left batting seventh. Ramon Laureano is going to be batting eighth, and then Orlando Arcia batting ninth this evening. So hoping that the Braves can get a win. Weather looks to be beautiful up there in New York, and the Yankees are a minus 110 favorite tonight. Over under sitting at 7.5. Let's go Braves. That's about all I could say for that. In other news, and the only other game that we had going on today, what do you got?
Well, one, I was going to say, no, let's not go Braves. You know, obviously I'm a Philly fan.
No, you can stay over there at your caveman.
Right on. But, yeah, I mean, it's nice up in New York. Nice enough that the Mets are up again, 11-1 on the Cubs. Sorry, Max, if you're listening. Since Grimace threw out that first pitch like a week and a half ago, Mets have been pretty good.
They have. They did drop one. They dropped one to the Texas Rangers, but Shota Imanaga, who's been really good throughout the year today, he gave up 2 3-run shots in the first 4 innings today. So a little bit of a rough go for him, but of course he should bounce back from that. He gave up 10 earned runs today, only had 3 strikeouts, 3 home runs total is what he gave up today. And while we're talking baseball, man, the game last night, 100 things to know first. Let me not get too far ahead. 100 things to know about the NFL season just because we're only 76 days away, 63 days away from Florida State and Georgia Tech. The Atlanta Falcons, in this next segment, we're going to be talking about new faces and new places. The Atlanta Falcons hired Raheem Morris, the former Los Angeles Rams defensive coordinator. He's going to be replacing Arthur Smith. Raheem is 47, and he also served as the Falcons interim coach back in 2020. What do you think about the Falcons hiring Raheem Morris? I thought it was one of those questionable hires, but we'll see how round 2 goes for him.
The last year, the Atlanta Falcons have done a lot of head-scratching things, from hiring a head coach to their first-round draft pick and getting Michael Penix. So I'm kind of wondering how things are going to happen over there. Either they're going to, make everybody else look like a bunch of clowns because they're going to, turn it around, or there's going to be a punchline, I think, here at the end of the season.
And it's a winnable division, which could make that it could compound things for them, right? Like you sit there and talk about the fact that they could win the division, but if you finish so far out that you're not even in the running to win the NFC South, I wonder how Falcons fans will feel about that. But I mean, you got Kirk Cousins, who is coming off of that ACL, so it'll be interesting to see how the Falcons do this year. They've got a lot of firepower in the offense that just wasn't utilized correctly underneath Arthur Smith. Will Raheem Morris be able to come in there and kind of change the culture? And they're going to need more defense as well. They had a feisty defense last year. Maybe having a defensive-minded head coach can change things up for them.
Yeah, but maybe not a defense, though, really. I mean, if you get the offense to click and they're on the field more, you don't need a defense as much, And, with the weapons they have there, that could have been one of their problems. I mean, when your defense is out there a bunch, they're going to get gassed, and by the end of a long season, they're going to be winded and not being able to produce for you.
Well, I think that having a good defense, though, is still just as important. As they say, defense does win championships. And having a great offense is a great thing, but we saw Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Both of those teams came well-equipped with a good offense, but the defense, you can make the argument, had better numbers than what the offense did. So we'll see, does that help out the Atlanta Falcons this year? And, of course, you can go to ESPNPC.com, click on the Best of Bay voting link, and go vote for either the Coach James Hill Show, the Inside Drive, the Afternoon Underdogs, or Sam Peebles, our very own Sam Peebles and the Braves Dugout Podcast. We would appreciate your vote for any four of the shows here from ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey, you can vote for all four.
You can vote for all four, man. Go make you multiple email addresses. Just go to ESPNPC.com. Click on that link. Voting ends June 24th. So make that push. Make that push this weekend. Today and this weekend, Monday, voting will end. Last night, they had a game at Rickwood Field. The Giants and the Cardinals, and they were both wearing older uniforms, Negro League uniforms. It was at the oldest stadium at Rickwood Field. They're the oldest stadium, which is older than Fenway, oldest professional stadium. All right, Mr. Technical, but hey, we'll take the technicalities there. And it was, man, just a wealth of knowledge on the panels. I didn't get to see much of the pregame, tuned in about the sixth inning, and when I tuned in, they were telling a story on Willie Mays and Satchel Paige back in 1948. Satchel, of course, known for a very good fastball, and Willie Mays said he threw him a little breaking ball just to see what he could do, and he hit it off the top of the wall, ended up getting a double. When he got to second, Satchel ended up telling the third baseman, let him know when that little boy comes back up. 3 innings later, Willie Mays goes to kneel down on the on deck or in the on deck circle. The third baseman says to Satchel, there he is. And then Satchel, while he's walking to home plate, says, little boy. Willie Mays says, yes, sir, because Satch was a lot older than him, and he was trying to show respect. He walked halfway to him and said, I'm not going to trick you. I'm going to throw you 3 fastballs, and you're going to go sit down. And Willie's saying, in my mind, no, I don't think so. You're not going to tell me the 3 pitches that you're going to throw, and I'm not going to be able to get contact on one of those and at least, get a base hit or at least hit it somewhere. He threw him 2 fastballs and he swung right through it. On the third one, he tells people, he said in this particular story, tells people all the time, go sit down while the ball was in mid-air. Satchel Paige was saying, go sit down, and struck him out with 3 straight pitches. That's one of the stories that they were saying on the broadcast last night that Willie Mays liked to tell about the, just the respect that he had for Satchel Paige. And I thought that story was so cool. But in the pregame, they were talking with Reggie Jackson, who played there at Rickwood Field and was making his return. And this is about a 3-minute clip, so it's a little bit long, but I think that it's important for all of us to hear for those who didn't.
Reggie, the baton has been passed for over a century here. We've been talking earlier about if it wasn't for the Willie Mays, the Jackie Robinson, the Reggie Jacksons, the 3 of us wouldn't have an opportunity to play. How emotional is it for you to come back to a play that you played with one of the greatest teams around?
Alex, when people ask me a question like that, it's like coming back here is not easy. The racism that I played here when I played here, the difficulty of going through different places where we traveled. Fortunately, I had a manager and I had players on the team that helped me get through it. But I wouldn't wish it on anybody. People said to me today, I spoke, and they said, you think you're a better person? You think you won when you played here in Concord? I said, I would never want to do it again. I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, can't eat here. I would go to a hotel and they say, the can't stay here. We went to Charlie Finley's country club for a welcome home dinner, and they pointed me out with the N-word. He can't come in here. Finley marched the whole team out. Finally, they let me in there. He said, we're going to go to the diner and eat hamburgers. We'll go where we're wanted. Fortunately, I had a manager, Johnny McNamara, that if I couldn't eat in the place, nobody would eat. We'd get food to travel. If I couldn't stay in a hotel, they'd drive to the next hotel and find a place where I could stay. Had it not been for Raleigh Fingers, Johnny McNamara, Dave Duncan, Joe and Sharon Rudy, I slept on their couch 3-4 nights a week for about a month and a half. Finally, they were threatened that they would burn our apartment complex down unless I got out. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. The year I came here, Bo Connor was the sheriff the year before. And they took minor league baseball out of here because in 1963, the Klan murdered 4 black girls, children, in 11, 12, 14 years old at a church here and never got indicted. They were from the Klan. Life magazine did a story on them like they were being honored. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. At the same time, had it not been for my white friends, had it not been for a white manager, and Rudy, Fingers, and Duncan, and Lee Myers, I would have never made it. I was too physically violent. I was ready to physically fight I'd have got killed here because I'd have beat someone's ass, and you'd have saw me in an oak tree somewhere.
Reggie, I can't even imagine.
That's good, Bone Crusher. That's good. Just the emotions I think that kind of played through that. First off, you got to wonder how, was MLB ready for that? You know what I mean? Like, did Fox have an idea of how real he was about to get there? And I'm so glad that he went through with that.
I hope they weren't.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because in that way, like, it was off, it was totally organic. It was natural. It wasn't, totally expected, but it was important. So, yeah.
And that's the emotions that kind of that flood through you whenever you're hearing those kind of things. And we're not even talking about the 60s. I mean, he was playing there in the 60s, but this kind of stuff continued on for 70s, 80s with players like that.
This place is the oldest, like we said, professional ball field in the country. So they were playing games there like in the 20s and 30s. Imagine how things were going back then.
Matter of fact, Alabama actually used Rickwood Field back in the teens and the 20s as their football stadium. And I just found that out watching SVP last night. So, man, just such a powerful story there from Reggie Jackson. And the one thing that stands out there's a bunch of things that stand out to me, but it reminds me of that Beatles song, Come Together. You know what I mean? Like, it takes more than just one side or the other side, like how he was mentioning. If he didn't have some of his white managers or the white managers, white players to stick up for him, then, how do we get to a place where we've got the great game of baseball that we're enjoying today? Because obviously it's not at the same level if it's still a segregated game of baseball.
It's kind of sad, but I'm glad he told that story. I kind of have to wonder a little bit, though. Reggie Jackson, he's an all-time great. Mm-hmm. Okay, if he wasn't Reggie Jackson and he was just whoever, would everybody else have gone to bat for him? Lack of the, sorry for the pun, but you know what I'm saying? Like, helping him out and doing all those things. Hopefully they would, but usually, you see star players get a little bit more better treatment, and that's the reason why they go to these teams to begin with, where the teams aren't afraid so much of like the ridicule, the circus, if you will, because, they're trying to win. And this is like a positive thing for them. So hopefully that's not the case. So hopefully they're just doing it because they were just good people.
Back in the day?
Yeah, like in the 60s, like all of his players, that were helping.
I'm not even going to put an answer to that, but I think that we know the answer to that. No, come on. No. I don't think that without them having the talent that they had, like, it took players like Jackie Robinson, and it wasn't Jackie Robinson's choice, right? Like, that's not Jackie Robinson's choice to go break the color barrier. Right now, he did have the choice. When
it was his choice. He could have decided, hey, I don't want to do this. Okay, that's kind of rough.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, like, being asked to be brought up, then you have the choice. Like, do you want to? Because at that point, then it's your choice, right? And that's got to be a tough choice to make. And I'm sure that even with Jackie Robinson, there was secondary thoughts of, like, the things that I'm about to have to go through. So I was just very thankful for Major League Baseball, especially to be able to put all this together. This was already in the plans. This wasn't just because Willie Mays passed away, but the fact that Willie Mays did pass away, I think just added an extra ingredient of
another layer.
Yeah, another layer of specialty last night.
The stadium only seated, what, like 10,000, I think, last night?
10,800.
So I only seen, a few cuts. I didn't watch the whole lot of the game, unfortunately. But seeing that old field, too, was probably, it was kind of cool seeing that on TV. It's a little bit different than seeing your normal MLB stadium, normal MLB kind of atmosphere. So that was kind of neat, too, seeing that.
And they wore the old jerseys, which was really cool. Willie Mays' dad actually played for the San Francisco Sea Lions.
Who made those jerseys, and if they were up to par, like, with all the issues we've had with the uniforms. And here's the other thing,
they looked better than some of the other
jerseys. Did they make them with the classic type of materials that they would have made of back then? I wonder, too. I missed a lot of that, but that'd be kind of different.
I doubt that. Now, they did play an inning where it was completely in black and white, and I don't know if anyone got to see the score blur, but that thing was absolutely beautiful, just black and white. And the Giants did end up getting a win 6-5. Brennan Donovan hit like a 498-foot home run or something. It was
the Cardinals won 6-5, didn't they not?
Oh yeah, Cardinals won 6-5.
That's what I thought. Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't wrong there. Oh, and also about the Willie Mays thing too. Like I told you before we went on there, big ups. There's somebody local in here. I don't know who it was. For like literally half a second on my way here to the studio this afternoon, I'm driving down 15th Street, and right there at the corner of Lisbon and 15th, there's one of those digital billboards. I don't know if there's any more than just the one that I seen, but somebody, I don't know if they're like a big Willie Mays fan, a big Giants fan, both, what have you, took it upon themselves, I guess, to invest some money, had the billboard up. It just has a picture of Willie Mays. It says, Giant loss, has his number, and that's basically all I saw. I don't know if it changes to anything else because it was only a half a second, but whoever you are, cool. Big ups. Think it was a pretty neat gesture. And hey, if you're hearing it, call us in. Tell us about it.
Yeah, there you go. So I really enjoyed that game last night. Learned a lot from it. The stories that were told throughout the evening. 5 Rick Wood facts. Just hopefully they make this kind of a annual tradition, kind of like the Field of Dreams and games such as that. It was funded by Rick Woodward in 1910. Birmingham versus Montgomery was the first game. Rick Woodward threw the ceremonial first pitch, which counted in the game, so it was a ball. So back in those days, whoever threw the first pitch, it counted as a pitch. 182 Hall of Famers played there, and that is 52% of the Baseball Hall of Fame. And as Caveman Rick mentioned, the capacity was small, 10,800, and it's the oldest professional baseball game or professional baseball stadium. Also last night, they had the first all-black umpiring crew in AL or NL history. And then Derek Jeter asked Barry Bonds what he would do if he was going up against the great Satchel Paige, and this was his response.
Conversation earlier, and we were talking about the players that you would want to play with that played against the Negro Leagues. Now, playing against both of you two were probably two of the most confident players I ever played against. Tell me right now, on the spot, what would you do against Satchel Paige?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Gone. You have lost your mind, Jeter. Gone. Simple. Gone. Read about it on ESPN, Fox News, whatever else you want to talk about. You got to believe in yourself.
That's Barry Bonds to a T right there, right, man? Just gone. I mean, what else are you supposed to say if you're asked a question like that?
I don't know, especially a guy like him. I think it's pretty much on par for his character.
Yeah, well, hey, the godson of Willie Mays, and I was glad that Major League Baseball was able to work him in as well with the black eye that he gets from the sports, and hey, One of the greatest to do
I
it.
don't know. Great black eye. He gave himself, not from the
Black eye?
sport.
Okay.
Okay. Don't blame baseball.
I'm not
blame Barry
blaming
Bonds.
baseball. I'm blaming the people who kind of put that on him to a large extent
'Cause
when
again,
we
he
talk
didn't
about
have
the
to.
numbers. Again, we this is just something that we disagree on, and it's fine. You can have your standpoint. You can hold that perspective, and I'm going to hold my perspective. I'm not saying that the game gave him the black eye, but the black eye that he gets from the people who cover baseball for the most part, right? Where you look at the numbers and the numbers before steroids, the numbers after steroids. Was it a competitive edge? But yes. Was he the only one doing it? By far, no. And so we're going to actually talk about something along those lines a little bit later. But first, we're going to take a break. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're playing Braves Trivia today. For Braves tickets, give us a call, 850-215-6290.
ESPN Northwest Florida, available on all your devices.
Connected.
Here are your favorite sports talk hosts
The Coach James Hale Show. You're listening to Inside Drive live.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
and your favorite teams.
Braves win it!
We're live on the app. Tune in, Alexa, ESPNPC.com, Facebook, YouTube, and in your car at 101.9 and 104.3. Wherever you go, there we are. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday afternoon. The rest of the day, a variety of mostly sunshine and a chance of thunderstorms, and 90 with a gentle breeze coming out of the east-southeast at 9 miles per hour. For tonight, very light showers and clear skies, and a low near 79. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
As the weather heats up, so do the Braves. And they're showing the National League that they're still a force to be reckoned with.
3-2, that's hit very well to deep center field. That's heading back towards the batter's eye and way out of the ballpark.
Tonight, Matt Olson and the Braves head to the Big Apple to take on Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees.
First pitch for the Braves, 6:05, with Chris Sale taking a mound against the Yankees. Your home of the Atlanta Braves, ESPN Northwest Florida.
He likes to idle his Kia while eating almonds and listening to Linkin Park in the Walgreens parking lot.
White people love trail mix.
David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, they love it. Love it. Eat it every day.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
They love it.
And we are back. You're in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher. Johnny Yankee Seed says, I think baseball has to have a black eye from it as well. They knew and did nothing for so long. That's also a good point. And this goes back to well before steroids, where you had in the 70s and 80s, the greenies and, I mean, cocaine as well. I mean, you had so many drugs out there, which are to some extent performance enhancing drugs. So that's, one of the things with Barry Bonds is just how good he was before and after. And you are right, though. He had the larger part in giving himself the black eye. It just kind of stinks how when you get that rap, when you get that bad narrative towards you, it continues to roll on, and everyone's going to have a split perspective on that, and that's fine as well. They should be, right, because the ones who are absolutely clean and there is no asterisks or black eyes towards them, then they should be in the Hall of Fame, provided that their numbers reach up. But with Willie Mays passing, a lot of people said that he was the greatest baseball player alive at that point, and so I kind of want to take a walk down memory lane and maybe talk about who is the best baseball player alive currently today. But first, let's go over to Travis, who is in Lynn Haven right now. Travis, you're picking up your wife, and hopefully you get some tickets to take her to Truist Park.
No, not her, Mason. She already knows. She already gave me the okay.
Okay, all right, there you go. But you got 2 other tickets to go along with it, my man. So let's get started.
She doesn't know that yet.
Okay, all right. Let's get started here. We're gonna give you up to 5 questions. You go until you get one wrong. All right. Which is one of Greg Maddox's nicknames? You've got the Crazed Dog, the Angry Dog, the Professor, or the Preacher.
Oh.
5, 4.
Number 3.
The Professor?
Yeah.
All right, Travis, we got you with 1 right so far. We're moving on to question number 2. Which team defeated the Atlanta Braves in the last Major League Baseball game played at the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium? Was it the Indians, the Cubs, the Red Sox, or the Yankees?
Oh, God, please don't let it be the Yankees.
5, 4.
Just go with the Yankees. They do everything, apparently.
You've got 2 in a row correct. We're moving on to number 3. How many different rookies did the Braves use in the 2005 season? Was it 1 rookie, 0 rookies, 18 rookies, or 23 rookies? 5,
Let's
4.
go 23. That's my lucky number.
23, is that your final answer?
Oh, the way you said it like that.
We're going to take that as your final answer. 2 is the number to beat today. 2 is the number to beat. Travis, thanks so much for participating, and we'll see if you stay on top today, my friend. But stay tuned to ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got a lot of opportunities to send people to Truist Park this year.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
All right. We'll be seeing you soon for some fantasy football. Everybody get that in mind. We just got to find the location, and we're going to be getting everything squared away for 2024 fantasy football. We're going to have the Coach James Hell League, the Inside Drive League, the Afternoon Underdogs League, and, of course, the Champions League, which is now stepping up to 16 teams. 16 teams in that league, so it is going to be tough to get through. But, with Barry Bonds, a lot of people wouldn't consider him the best baseball player alive because of all of the things that we kind of talked about previously. So in your mind, Caveman Rick, who would you say is the best baseball player alive today? Not currently in the league. We're talking,
so it's probably some old head. Somebody's been retired for a while.
Right.
I'm sure it's not somebody currently in the game.
I've got this article here from CBSSports.com, and it's got their wars along with it, and obviously some great numbers to go along with it. But I just want to read out some career wars, okay? So Johnny Bench comes in with a career war of 75.1. We're going to save Barry Bonds because that one's just ridiculous. Roger Clemens has a career WAR of 139.2. Also a guy who's, not Hall of Fame because of the accusations. I was going to say acquisitions. I mean, he did have acquisitions of steroids, but accusations. Ken Griffey Jr., a career WAR. I thought that his number would be a little bit higher, but a lot of injuries in his career. 83.8 for the kid. Ricky Henderson's career WAR, 111.1.
Saw those leadoff home runs and the stolen bases, probably.
No one else in baseball has 1,000 stolen bases. Ricky Henderson has 1,406. He scored 2,295 runs, which is also good for the most in history. And he also walked 2,190 times, and he's got 3,055 hits.
I'm afraid the steal record's probably going out the window because of what we've seen going on lately, the bigger pads and all that kind of stuff, the oven mitts.
But we're just talking about the best baseball player alive right now. Randy Johnson, his career WAR 101.1, 5 Cy Youngs, 303 games, along with 4,875 strikeouts. So Randy Johnson also on the list there. Greg Maddux, his career WAR 106.6, 3,371 strikeouts. AG would say that a lot of those were due to calls that were favorable to Greg Maddux. 4-time Cy Young winner, 355 wins, and 4 ERA titles. Next, you got Pedro Martinez with a career WAR of 83.9. So great career for him. Go ahead.
Of course, pitchers are going to have high WARs. They affect the outcome of a lot more games more than other positional players.
Yeah, no doubt. 219 wins, 100 losses, 3,154 strikeouts, and 2,827 in a third innings. And then you have a honorable mention there for Sandy Koufax. Oh, Mike Schmidt as well, 106.9 ERA, career hitter at 267, 380 OBP, and a 527 slugging percentage. That's a 148
best
OPS plus. You'd say best third baseman of all time?
Pretty much in my book. I mean, I'm biased.
World Series MVP in 1980. Also, that was Philly's first title there. So, of course, for you, he's going to be near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, definitely.
Albert Pujols, honorable mention, or not even an honorable mention, career WAR at 101.4. Again, we're still playing Braves trivia, and you can call in 850-215-6290. It's Braves trivia for tickets to Truist, and all you got to do is answer at least 5 questions consecutively, and once you get one wrong, then we're going to go ahead and take you off the line. Right now, we're sitting at 2 with Travis, 850-215-6290. Mariano Rivera, it's going to be tough for him being a closer, career WAR of 56.3, but obviously one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant closer in the game. A-Rod, another guy with ties to the steroid era, his career WAR 117.6. Also one of those guys for me, I never liked him while he was playing the game, but he was one of the best out there to do it. So he's got to be in the mention. And then some other honorable mentions: Cal Ripken Jr., Adrian Beltre, Wade Boggs, George Brett, and then Mike Trout. And there's a lot of people who's mentioned Shohei Ohtani. So, and you don't have to pick off of this list. It's purely your opinion. Who would you say is the best baseball player that is alive today?
Somebody that's probably not in baseball's good graces as well, but you didn't mention Pete Rose on that list.
Yeah.
And he gets a lot of flack for what he did. And, I mean, he's all-time hits leader. I don't know what his WAR is. You were looking at that list. It's not as high as, I guess, some of those guys, but he was a big reason why a bunch of his teams that won championships. So, for me, that's one of them. Off the rip, maybe like Nolan Ryan. Another great pitcher, is really well known. Probably doesn't have like the stats like in WAR.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's an important stat that, a lot of, for lack of a better term, like baseball nerds like to use like for analytics and stuff. But I mean, there's something to just, being a guy that your teammates can rally around, a good dugout kind of a guy that just like makes everybody else around him better.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go with Barry Bonds, the godson of Willie Mays, 298 career hitter, 762 home runs. And I think the one that stands out to me the most is the 7 MVPs. And we all, our eyes all gawk over the hitting statistics, but as far as stolen bases go, he was fast on the base paths. He may not have been the best defensive player as he got bigger there at the end, but could you imagine if he was playing in an age where the designated hitter was on both sides of the league and how much further his career would have gone?
No doubt.
So for me, I'm going to have to go with Barry Bonds. Kyle Albritton's going to go with Ken Griffey Jr. I think that's a respectable choice. Kyle says roids. Hey, look, man, you follow a team who, in my opinion, what the Houston Astros did as a team was way worse than someone pumping some steroids. In fact, I'm a guy who, like all of the pitchers who were using spider tack a few years ago, and we still still have issues of pitchers using sticky stuff. To me, the guys we don't know what was going on back in the day either. I don't think that they were using anabolic steroids by any stretch of the imagination, but what were they using to get an edge? Because that's something that's notorious in athletes of all sports, right? Is what can you do that's within the rules, or maybe that goes outside of the rules, which again, back in these days when we're talking Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa, name me a rule in the rule book that this was against the rules. It came out afterwards like, okay, now you're not going to do that. And if they don't do this, if Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, and especially McGwire and Sammy Sosa at 98, like, is baseball back to the level of where it's at?
Baseball, okay, there wasn't any rules in place for that, but isn't baseball the one sport that has all the unwritten rules that everybody knows about and talks about? So it's kind of a contradiction in saying, oh, this and that. Well, you know what? Then throw the rest of your said rules out the window then.
There you go. Well, they're unwritten rules and unsaid rules there, as you put it. So, yeah, I just wanted to get some takes there. 850-215-6290. Oh, I love Johnny Yankee Seeds, but it doesn't necessarily fit in this particular conversation because he's got Tony Gwynn, but Tony Gwynn no longer with us. So that we're talking about the best baseball player that's currently alive.
He was talking last night. You can mention Reggie Jackson's another one.
Reggie Jackson is one, Mr. October. I think that's a great one. I think there's so many people that you could put on this list, but just interesting stuff there. Tight end you going on up there in Nashville, and you had some you got all the tight ends over there, and they were asked to do an impersonation of Travis Kelce. We'll roll that clip right now.
Give your best. that was me right there. I don't know.
All right now.
Give us your best Travis Kelce impression. Doo-doos! Hey Taylor, how you doing? To party! Get a little stanky leg in there, all right?
Let's go! That's my favorite one, but the second one was, hey Taylor, how you doing? I just thought that was pretty interesting, all the guys giving it a go at the Travis Kelce impersonation. How big is the tight end position going to be in fantasy football this year, Caveman Rick?
I think it's be bigger than most people have been used to it being the last few years. Last few years, we've only had maybe 3 or 4 tight ends that are like top tier tight ends that most people would draft right off the cuff, and everybody else kind of falls behind the wayside after that. I think talking yesterday during the show, me and Kyle Auburn kind of going back and forth on some tight ends, but nowadays there's quite a plethora of pretty good tight ends. I think just because of what the NFL, just teams in general, it's a league of parity, right? They're seeing other teams utilizing 2 tight end sets. They've been basically another wide receiver. You can just utilize them in blocking, so many of the different ways you can use a tight end. So, unfortunately, I hate to say it, a guy like Belichick, not an offensive guy, it's probably more of his other dudes like McDaniels and stuff coming up with the plays, but utilizing the 2 tight ends and making it work for a team. So, I think because of that, and now you got the young new tight ends coming in the league, guys like Bowers, there's going to be a resurgence. I think it's going to be a hot ticket item, if you will, for fantasy players this season.
Which could also make it more difficult to kind of balance what your roster is going to look like, because majority of the time I'm just holding on to one tight end, and then, whenever my tight end is on his bye week, then I'll plug someone else there.
Stream somebody.
Yeah, but you got Sam Laporta this year, Mark Andrews.
If you got 2, you can use one as a flex.
Well, there is that. In our first draft in the Boomer Bust League, you had Max Delyden taking Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, which I found interesting, more so because I ended up with the better end of that situation, making a trade to end up getting Travis Kelce and then making that my keeper. But Sam Laporta, according to Fantasy Pros, they've got him as the number 1 tight end going in to 2024, followed by Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. But like you mentioned, this year it just seems to be a little bit deeper.
Like and Bowers, Goddard.
Brock Bowers is going to be someone to keep an eye on. I don't know how it's going to work out with, is Devontae Adams is going to be the number 1 wide receiver over there. All right. What's the health? That's the biggest thing for me with Brock Bowers is you saw last year with Georgia, he started to get a little bit banged up. Now, he's still lethal as all get out, but is it going to be Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell first? And then that's going to determine a little bit more so the value. Then I look at a guy who had a breakout year, someone we've been waiting on for since he was at Ole Miss, Evan Ingram, did not pan out at all with the New York Giants. Last year had a huge year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you think that this is another year for him to be worthy of a roster spot?
I don't know about that, especially in Jacksonville. They do have some talent down there. You know, you got running backs, wide receivers that you can utilize. And it just seemed to me like Doug Peterson, I mean, it's different than when he was in Philadelphia, but they don't seem to utilize the tight end position that much in Jacksonville. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, do you
I remember Mercedes Lewis. But I don't know about the utilization of him. I think that this year could be even more so big for Evan Ingram from the utilization standpoint, because no Calvin Ridley over there. What they bring in, Gabe Davis is like their premier signing, wide receiver wise or receiver wise, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think if Trevor Lawrence doesn't have anyone that he feels confident in, then Evan Ingram can be that safety net for him.
I think it comes down to Doug Peterson, Dougie P. I mean, he had Zach Ertz when he was in Philly. He had a really good tight end. If he doesn't see, somebody like Ingram on par with somebody like that, then I don't know if how he's going to utilize him play calling wise.
Braves trivia is still going on. 850-215-6290. If you want to win a family 4-pack to Truist Park, call in now. We've got your questions ready. All you got to do is answer as many as you can in a row, up to 5. Next, we're going to be talking about who's going to be handling the kickoffs for the Kansas City Chiefs this year. We'll be right back. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
Hey guys, we are stoked. Coach James Hale has been nominated for Best Morning Radio Personality in the News Herald's Best of Bay. And right now, you can show your support by voting for the Coach James Hale Show.
To vote, go to ESPNPC.com and click Best of Bay.
And remember, don't vote for Dr. Puker.
Vote Coach James Hale in 2024.
That guy does puke a lot though, right?
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday afternoon. The rest of the day, a variety of mostly sunshine and a chance of thunderstorms, and 90 with a gentle breeze coming out of the east-southeast at 9 miles per hour. For tonight, very light showers and clear skies, and a low near 79. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi folks, it's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry and Coin and Bullion Reserves. Did you know that we do more than just sell some of the finest jewelry in town? We can engrave on your wedding band, locket, Yeti cup, or almost anything. Need your watch battery changed? We can do that too. Our expert will even evaluate your coin collection. And of course, we always pay top dollar for your old gold and silver jewelry. See, there's a lot more to Tracy's Fine Jewelry than a lot of pretty sparkly things. Come and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
He listens to Post Malone. He drives a Honda with ground effects and has Pennsylvania tattooed on his right tricep.
You're looking at a bad man.
David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Give us a call. Let's play some Braves trivia. 850-215-6290. If you get more than 2 questions right, you will be in the lead to get a family 4-pack of tickets to Truist Park to see the Atlanta Braves take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. That is going to be next Friday night. Max Fried should be on the bump for the Braves then. So if you want to go see a future All-Star, possibly a guy who's in the running for the NL Cy Young this year, he is just pitching lights out, going very deep into games and not giving up very many hits along the way. If you'd like to go to Truist to see the Braves take on the Pirates, let's play a little trivia right now. 850-215-6290. When we get you on the line, we will answer the questions live for you. And with that being said, I'm only giving you guys about 5 seconds so that we can kind of keep it out of the way of Google at that point. But I read today, Caveman Rick, that the Chiefs are not going to be having Harrison Butker do the kickoffs this year. He's going to be doing the extra points and he'll be kicking field goals, but they're not going to be going with Harrison Butker. They're going to be going with Justin Reed, who, if you remember last year when Harrison Butker got injured, he came in and kicked a couple of extra points for him. And I think that this is something that we could be seeing. Now, it takes me back to the Madden 25 hype video. The release video. There you go. The release video that they put out, and they had Justin Fields returning kicks, which was kind of a big deal when this was brought up. I can't remember the publication that put it out, but they were saying that Justin Fields could be one of the two guys out there returning kicks. I don't think that the Steelers are going to end up doing that, but Justin Reed, the safety, is going to be handling kickoffs. And before we continue on with that conversation, we're going to go to Michael in Lynn Haven. Michael, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're doing wonderful, my man. Trying to send you up to Truist Park. We left off with how many different rookies did the Braves use in the 2005 season? Was it 1 rookie, 0 rookies, or 18 rookies?
That sounds like, I don't know if that was the baby Braves yet, but 18 sounds like a lot, but I'm going to go with that.
All right, Michael, we got you with 1 on the board. I didn't count down to 5, but you were underneath 5 seconds there. You've got 1. We'll continue on here. Who scored the winning run to win the National League Championship for the Atlanta Braves in 1992? Was it Sid Bream, Steve Avery, Mark Lemke, or David Justice? 5, 4.
David Justice.
David Justice, is that your final answer?
Yeah.
All right, my man. Well, we got you wrapped up there at 2, which is not going to be good enough for first place. So thanks so much for the call, and go Braves.
Go Braves.
Go Braves. All right. 850-215-6290 is the number to call. We're going to keep it rolling all throughout the show today. If you want to win a family 4-pack to go see the Braves take on the Pirates, play a little Braves trivia with us this afternoon. But how do you feel about that, Caveman Rick? Justin Reed handling the kickoffs for the Chiefs.
I mean, I don't care. It's not my team, so let them do that. If it's going to be a mess or something for them, good. They've been winning enough. Hopefully, it won't be somehow of a success for them. I'm sure. What make load management on Butker? I'm guessing.
Well, no,
save the leg.
No, well, so for me, why I think that they're doing this is because with the new kickoff style, the kicker could be making more touchdown saving tackles. Yeah. Would you rather have Harrison Butker out there trying to make sure that the team doesn't score on you, or would you rather have a safety back there who could possibly have a turnover inducing hit for you? So I love this idea, and I wouldn't doubt if this starts happening, because I think that you're going to see an evolution of the kickoff this year. Obviously, it's already evolutionized to what it is now, but I think that you're going to see changes where you could see guys like Justin Fields, backup quarterbacks who have some speed to them back there, who can make things happen in the sense of trickery, in the sense of trick plays. And then on the flip side of that, having guys who can boot it, who also have a defensive edge to them. I like this, man. I think that is real cool. And Justin Reed obviously filled in for Harrison Butker last year, so I think that this is unique.
Yeah, if that's the case, I like it, because then it would make the kickers a little bit more, football players, right?
Right.
So, then that way, you're not just somebody that's just put out there just to boot a ball through a couple of uprights. You actually have to, have more skill than that, not just kind of like a one-tool kind of a thing.
I don't know how talented Cooper DeJean is, but I mean, with the all-white duo back there for the
honestly,
safeties of the Eagles.
Special teams is a good place, an opportunity to find guys on the practice squad, to find your bench-type players, for them to have an opportunity to show out, you know what I'm saying? So I think I would still rather have that utilized, in the kickoff game, and punt returns and stuff like that to try to, work in some other talent that you're trying to develop.
Also, a little different here for college football. Caleb Downs, who was a safety over there at Alabama, he transferred over to Ohio State, and Ohio State is saying they could utilize him at the running back position. So just keep your eyes out for Caleb Downs. You see a guy playing two-way at Ohio State, like how we see Travis Hunter playing cornerback and wide receiver over there for Colorado. If he gets enough carries, maybe we could see another defensive player make a run at the Heisman. Highly unlikely, but you just never know. So keep your eyes over there on Caleb Downs and keep your eyes on Ohio State this year. Looks to be like a good year for them. Game 6 is tonight, Caveman Rick. What are some things you're going to be watching for? And while you're doing that, I'll bring up some prop bets from the old Hard Rock app to see if you like any of those.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to like what I said last time earlier in the week when I was here, and actually stuff kind of happened that way. I said, Edmonton's going to have to score early in the game, being down in Sunrise, probably in the first 5 or 6 minutes. Well, what happened? They got their first goal in the first 5.5 minutes, right in that window I was talking about, right? And then it went in the game. Same kind of thing here. They're going to need to shut down Florida. Edmonton's going to need to get a quick goal in this one, too. Keep the fans, riled up, keep them ignited. I mean, it's already going to be like just a madhouse before this game starts. But you want to keep it rolling. You let Florida come in there, get an early goal, quiet the crowd down, steal a little bit of your thunder. That, might not bode well for you. The thing Edmonton has going for them right now is Sergei Bobrovsky has got the yips, I think, and they're in his head. He's a streaky goaltender. I'm wearing my Flyers gear today. Philadelphia Flyers, we drafted him. One of the reasons why we got rid of the guy was because in our minds, we couldn't get him to seal the deal. He was a guy that during the regular season would probably produce. Come playoff time, just wasn't there. Streaky kind of a guy. He can, get you some good games, but it just wasn't very consistent. I think after we moved on from him, he changed his game some. He, grew, got better, and that's where he's at now. He's on a different team. Maybe change the scenery, helps too with moving around in the league a couple places. But I think Edmonton, like I said, needs to get on early, get into his head, stay inside of Sergei Bobrovsky's head, because if he gets confidence again and he starts seeing those pucks like they're beach balls, I think it's over for Edmonton. Another interesting thing too is if whichever team wins in the end, right? Everybody's talking about Connor McDavid being the odds-on Conn Smythe winner, odds like betting apps and things like that. Typically, whoever wins, the winning team is going to get a Conn Smythe trophy winner out of it. There's only been, I believe, 6 instances where somebody from the losing team has actually won the Conn Smythe, right? Just so happens that 2 of those times, too, were my Philadelphia Flyers. One was in Reggie Leach, I believe, in 78, and the other time was Ron Hextall, and I believe like 86 or 87. So that says a lot about a team that loses the Stanley Cup, but they can still end up having the guy deemed the best player throughout all the playoffs, not just the Stanley Cup final, but all 4 rounds throughout there to get their team there. So if Florida ends up winning the Stanley Cup, say tonight, or, forcing a Game 7, I still think, McDavid has a really good shot of getting it. The only way he wouldn't is if, say, like Sergei Bobrovsky comes back to the form that he had and is able to shut down Edmonton, and then they're able to get the win, then I can say maybe give it to him. Or if one of the other, say, forwards of the Florida Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk, a Barkov, Connor Verhaeghe, somebody like that goes out, couple, 3 goals, kind of doing like a who was it Kreider for the New York Rangers in that second round series. He had a hat trick, to finish off the Carolina Hurricanes. Something similar to that. If you have a moment in that, that's kind of like we see in college football where a player has that Heisman moment in a big game, right? Where like after they had this big player, had this great game, they basically, unless something horrifically happens, they got it. They're in, So I think that's what's going to happen. Like I said, I want to see an interesting game. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes in overtime. It's been kind of nuts. Edmonton just didn't do nothing for 3 games, and now they got 13 goals in the last 6 periods.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they've been playing some really good hockey. Connor McDavid is showing how good he really is, and to have back-to-back games
real
with
quick,
4 points.
They need to lay bodies on McDavid. This is the one thing I don't know what Florida's doing. Game 3, he had that beautiful goal where he goes in and skates in between basically 4 defenders right in the slot and puts the puck in the net, right? Why the hell didn't anybody put a body or 2 by? They should have done him like the Hanson brothers in Slapshot, and all 3 of them should have got him at the same time, you know? But if you're going to let him play freely like that and not get touched, you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
You got to make him hurt. You got to make him not want to go to those areas to make those plays. And if you're not going to do it, it's probably not going to end up well for you.
Well, I know that it's been a good thing for hockey to see a guy of the caliber player that Connor McDavid is, to see him here in the Stanley Cup final, to see them go down 3-0, and then to fight back. And we're also talking about a series right now where Leon Draisaitl has not scored in this series. So if Leon can get a goal or 2 in this game, then momentum could be looking well in the favor of the Edmonton Oilers for Game 7 down there in Sunrise, Florida. That's the only thing that I want tonight. I would love to see Florida go ahead and win the Cup, but I would much rather see, let's get a Game 7. I would love to see a 4-3 thriller in overtime tonight.
Triple overtime.
Oh, give me triple overtime. Or let's go back to, who was it? I believe it was the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Columbus Blue Jackets, like 5 overtimes deep back in 2020.
My Flyers got y'all beat. We were in the longest playoff game pretty much anyways back in 2001, so against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
How many was that?
That was 6 overtimes.
6 overtimes.
5 or 6 overtimes. You're basically playing, the equivalent of almost 3 hockey games back to back to back when you're doing that kind of stuff. That's just ridiculous.
Who do you think has the deeper depth when it comes to, if Game 6 does go to, let's just say 3 overtimes, which at that point is 2 full games, you go 3 overtimes, who does that favor going back to Sunrise?
That's tough.
Because they both got
I would
the
say
same amount of
probably
travel.
Florida, because you're going to be at your house. You're going to be sleeping in your bed. You're not traveling, across the country. So I think that's going to help out Florida more in that sense. Plus, I think when it comes down to it, they're the tougher, deeper team. They win with more of suffocating you, physicality, whereas Edmonton's about speed, finesse, passing. That's the other thing too. Too many times they want to make the pretty play, I think. Too many passes. They want to go tic-tac-toe and put it in the net. Playoff hockey's not like that. Playoff hockey, a lot of times, you just got to get the luck of the puck. Bounce it, go the right way. You need to have just a puck go off the post, or with Matthew Tkachuk saving that goal at the end of the game the other night.
Wow,
almost went in, go diving into the net and just saving it right before it goes in. They still lost, but you're going all out at this point. You're showing your teammates and everybody how much you want to win, right? So, I like that. I like seeing play like that.
Who would you say is the first goal scorer tonight in the game?
All right, so it's in Edmonton tonight.
I'm going to go, since it's kind of been the consensus that once you score the first goal, if you've scored the first 2 goals, you're winning the game. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Leon Draisaitl gets the first goal of the game.
I'm going to go with the defenseman and say Evan Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers. I think he'll get a shot maybe from the point, unless something happens like in the last game where I was trying to get a little parlay there where somebody, Bouchard takes a shot from the point. Somebody like Hyman, he goes off his leg and goes in. Those both kind of get an assist and a goal there. But I think it'll come off of Bouchard's stick initially.
Well, NHL Stanley Cup final, Game 6 tonight up there in Edmonton.
So who you got tonight in score?
I'm going to go 4-3 Edmonton in overtime.
Edmonton in overtime. Okay,
I'm going to go 4-3 Edmonton in overtime. I think it's going to be a great game. I think that Edmonton is going to kind of get out to that little bit of a lead, and then Florida's going to fight back much like they did the other night. But I think that the crowd is going to be the overwhelming factor here tonight. I think, like you've mentioned, the crowd in Alberta is hungry, and they've been waiting for this since 1990, the last time that they won a Stanley Cup. They've got 5 in their existence. They're looking for 6. However, for Florida, I think that if they can get back to, which as long as if they don't win tonight, if they can get back to Sunrise, I would say that Florida's a little bit more hungry for number 1.
If they go back, here's the deal. If Edmonton wins tonight, I'm sorry to say, it's over for Florida. If you started up 3-0 and then you let the Edmonton Oilers sneak back in and come back with all this momentum, with the amount of gunfire that they have and the talent and everything, it's going to be very, very hard for Florida. How can you go into a Game 7 after you gave up what'll be the last 3 games and we'll see what the goal scoring is like, right? But the last 2 games has been like 13 goals. Even if you give up just a couple in this game, I mean, now you're giving up like 15 goals inside of 3 games. You're still averaging 5 a game. That's pretty good. You average 5 a game, you're going to win a lot of hockey games.
Hey, but sometimes you get those 3 big wins in a row, and then you kind of lose gas a little bit. But we do got to get into hour number 2. If you want to go to Truist Park and see the Braves next Friday, give us a call, 850-215-6290. We're playing some Braves trivia. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
Hi, it's Ryan Mulvey from The Inside Drive, and thank you for nominating us as your favorite radio show in the Best of Bay competition from the News Herald. To keep your radio fun and positive in Panama City, Lynn Haven, Panama City Beach, 30A, and all across Bay County, go to ESPNPC.com and click Best of Bay to vote for Ryan Mulvey in The Inside Drive. Jay Henley, what do you think?
Huh? What?
That's what I thought. Thanks for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, and vote The Inside Drive.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, clear and a low of 78 with wind 3 to 7 miles per hour out of the north-northeast. Sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and very warm near 89. Mostly sunny and 90 in the afternoon and evening with a wind coming out of the southwest around 11 miles per hour. 89 and sunshine with a gentle breeze at 8 miles per hour Sunday. This is your Friday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? We can typically replace them while you wait. Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? In many cases, we can have it back to you the next day. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, just south of Tractor Supply. The best place in town to take a leak.
Your safety and proper care of your boat in an emergency is crucial. When it comes to on-water assistance, response time is everything. And since 1996, in the Bay or on the Gulf, it's Seato. Seato's Coast Guard licensed captains are on the scene
in an average of 1 hour or less.
Seato gets members home or back to boating faster. Become a member today at Seato.com or call 850-234-2323.
As the weather heats up, so do the Braves. And they're showing the National League that they're still a force to be reckoned with.
3-2, that's hit very well to deep center field. That's heading back towards the batter's eye and way out of the ballpark.
Tonight, Matt Olson and the Braves head to the Big Apple to take on Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees.
First pitch for the Braves, 6:05, with Chris Sale taking a mound against the Yankees. Your home of the Atlanta Braves, ESPN Northwest Florida.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is hour number 2. We're trying to give you guys some tickets to go see the Braves next Friday over there in Truist Park. They're going to be taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. That'll be June 28th. Next Friday. If you want to go, give us a call right now, 850-215-6290. We're playing trivia. All you've got to do is get 3 questions right at this point in time. We've got Travis in the lead with 2 correct questions answered. 850-215-6290. Brent Venables, Caveman Rick, and Oklahoma have agreed to a new 6-year deal. It's got a total value of $51.6 million. He's 53, and he's set to earn $7.225 in 2024. Then it's going to go up to $7.625 in 2025, and eventually it'll get to $7.925 in his final year. His original contract, a 6-year, $43.5 million deal. When he first got to Oklahoma back in 2021, 10-3 is what the Sooners went last year. 16-10 is his overall record in 2 years over there at Oklahoma. He's got a top 10 recruiting class going into this year, and he's got the number 7 class in the 2025 rankings. With the season that he had last year, I like this kind of ramping him up, especially to kind of get to the standards of the SEC. So I think this is a good deal for Oklahoma. However, I don't know how Oklahoma's season is going to go year 1 in the SEC.
Yeah, I would agree. I guess he earned it. Who's your other option that you're going to get that's probably better? You got a guy that's already established. You might as well move into your new conference already with some continuity going on instead of just trying to change things up because there's already a lot of change coming. So I can see, why you're going to do that. But like you said, coming into the SEC is going to be a tall task. Just curious to see how, is his approach going to change going into the SEC because of just the play being a little different, So I just want to see if he stays, true to kind of like who he is in his DNA and how he has been, or if he tries to do something new. But I think it's good. He's got some motivation now, he's got, bigger paycheck. And of course with bigger paycheck, bigger expectations, going to the SEC, like I said, I don't know about that, we got a season here to find out though.
We do have a season to find out. And also what's going to be interesting is who's going to be playing quarterback for the Sooners in 2024 and how he's going to do, because Dylan Gabriel is going over there to Oregon. Oklahoma does have somewhat of a favorable schedule this year. They're going to be starting it off at the house against Houston, then they get Tulane at the house, then they get Tennessee at the house, which is going to be their first SEC game of 2024. They're on the road. Their first road game is against the Auburn Tigers. Then they get Texas neutral site, which is going to be at a different time. We're used to seeing that game at 11 a.m. That game's going to be at 2:30, so we might be on the fairgrounds underneath the lights for the ending of that game. Then they get South Carolina. They're on the road against Ole Miss. They've got Maine at the end, nearing the end of the season. Then they get Missouri on the road. They got Alabama at the house, and then LSU to finish out the season there in Death Valley. So not the toughest schedule because that goes to Florida. Florida's going to have the toughest road ahead in the SEC. But we'll see how Brent Venables and the Oklahoma Sooners do in 2024. Defensive-minded coach. He was waiting for a long time to get that job, to take a job, because he was such a good assistant. The defensive coordinator job there at Clemson, he was loving being there under Dabo, the success that they had together, the championships that they won together, and he was with Oklahoma prior to his time there at Clemson, so went back home in a sense, and the first year was very rocky for them in the Big 12. And last year, they tightened things up, had a big win against Texas as well. So we'll see how year 3 goes for Brent Venables. Also, Conor McGregor out UFC 3. There was a lot of speculation going around that, but the reality has been released today. It's a broken toe. Broken toe is why he won't be taking on Michael Chandler.
Kicking babies.
As Caveman Rick would like to do, kicking babies. So, yeah, he will not be there. And then also from UFC 1, one of the first fighters to ever fight in the UFC, Taylor Weiler, has passed away at the age of 56. So thoughts and prayers there with the Wiley family as well.
Yeah, I heard that news through our good friend Richard Head, Johnny Yankee Seat, saw that on Facebook that he posted that. So I was kind of crazy seeing something like that at a left field,
Still trying to send you guys to Truist Park, 850-215-6290. I've got 5 Braves questions for you. If you get 5 in a row right, you're going to be automatically entered in to win, and we'll have a little tiebreaker if someone else gets 5. But at this point, your odds are looking good, and may they ever be in your favor.
Quick question about Conor McGregor, though. Are you interested in seeing him fight again in the ring, or do you think it's kind of like now after a few years and all the stuff with the whiskey and the movies and stuff, and kind of like,
Yeah, Conor McGregor is just one of those guys that moves the needle. Like, am I interested in seeing Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight? Yes, there's interest there. Like, is it one of those things where it's appointment setting for me? No, not necessarily because of the age difference. But the more that Jake Paul fights, these kind of nonsense fights, the more that I lose interest. With Conor McGregor, though, all of these fights are real big-time fights. So, yes, I'm still interested. I was very interested in seeing Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler because Michael Chandler's been talking about this for a while, and I remember one of the first times that I saw Michael Chandler fight, this is not his nickname, but I was like, oh, that dude fights like Mighty Mouse, which was one of my favorite cartoon heroes when I was growing up. So, yes, despite all of this stuff, even more so with having the titanium leg, because his leg was snapped in half, and so now that he's got that titanium leg, I'm extremely interested in seeing Conor McGregor come back, and just his trash talk and all of the hoopla that he brings. I enjoy following that stuff.
Yeah, I feel you. little tired of it, I mean, you're not winning, you're not champ anymore. When he comes back, I don't see that happening again now. Being perfectly honest with you, I'd rather see the Mike Tyson fight. I'm a bigger Tyson fan anyways, but, UFC, I like the UFC to a point. When these fighters are coming up and you get the great matches because, unlike boxing, they can't duck fighters. I mean, when you're up and coming, they stick you against the next best competition. When you're on top, you get the number one contender, whoever they deem it to be. You don't get to just choose some tomato can that you can kick down the street, So I do like that. But later on, after these guys win titles and they kind of fall from grace a little bit and try to come back, usually it's not so great. UFC is the kind of sport where usually you got to run up until a certain point, and then after that, once you kind of lose and kind of fall off the table, it's very, very hard, I think, to kind of come back and get to the top again. So because of that, and like I said, if he wasn't involved with all the other shenanigans, like outside of the UFC, making movies, whiskey commercials and things like that, I just don't think his head's not in 100%. When he was focused on fighting and that was it, he was badass. He was a great fighter, all right? Now when you have all these other interests going on in your life, I think it's hard to guys like, Bernard Hopkins and stuff said, it's kind of hard to get up and work your ass off in the morning when you wake up and sat in sheets every morning.
There you go. That's a great way to put it. With Jake Paul and Mike Tyson had the stomach ulcers, so that fight has been postponed from July 20th. I believe it's Jake Paul's going to be taking on, I think it's Mike Perry. He's a bare knuckle fighter. So they'll be boxing against each other, and then November 15th, I believe, is the date for Jake Paul and Mike Tyson to get their bout underway, which still, I mean, there's that, but it's an interest of a different cloth, because I know what's going on in the MMA ring, and the octagon rather, is going to be realistic, whereas I don't think that the Jake Paul fights are scripted as much as just there's a big discrepancy in the talents that they're going up against.
It's a spectacle, man. It's a TV show. It's made for TV, and there's nothing on the line other than you're both are getting paid anyways, other than maybe bragging rights.
Yeah.
So because of stuff like that, I mean, it's kind of hard to take a lot of times stuff like that serious. Now, if Tyson was to go there and knock his block off, I'll be the first to tell you, I'll be happy, man. I'll be like jumping up and down, and there's my boy.
I think there would be more people that would be happy about Mike Tyson getting a win there than
no doubt
than the majority of others. But I will say this, though. You can't knock the hustle on what it is that Jake Paul and Logan Paul have been able to bring to the fight worlds in their own different lanes. Logan Paul with the MMA, and then Jake Paul with the world of boxing and the promotion that he's done for that sport as well. So I think that they've done great things, and a lot of people hate on it. And when people are hating on you, you're doing a good job. You're doing good at something.
Jake Paul's an actor. What is he doing in these exhibition fights? He's acting, man. Come on, he's an actor.
Like, here's the thing, bro. He would knock both of our blocks off.
Yeah, but we don't train and we're not into it though.
Okay,
either,
so that's what I'm saying. Is like I just think that it's somewhat.
And I bet you if we go out fishing, I'd murder him too, and I'd bury him, and he wouldn't beat me in fishing because it's something I'm good at. You know what I mean? Like there's certain stuff that you might be good at that others aren't. I'm just saying that's
fair.
That's where he comes from. That's where his roots are. A guy like Tyson came from the streets. His roots from like learning how to fight. And I got more respect for something like that,
Okay, well, I'm saying I respect the hustle of Jake Paul and also the training, because you ask a lot of the people who have watched him train and been around him training for boxing, he takes the stuff seriously. And so with that, it's not the same as Mike Tyson or many of these other boxers as well.
Take it seriously and put your ass out there in Vegas and go fight some real boxers and go through the real ranks if you can do it.
He's
0-1. You know what I'm saying?
He's 0-1 against
and how many fights
boxers
has he had throughout all this time? If he was serious about boxing, get out there and box. Right? You're playing games is what you're doing. That's all you're doing. You're acting and
games
putting on
that are making him a lot of money.
That's fine. But don't call yourself a fighter. Call yourself an actor. Call yourself a stunt man.
Okay.
Wrestlers. You're like a wrestler basically at that point. Scripted on TV for money.
Let's send you guys to Atlanta for the Atlanta Braves taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. 850-215-6290. Play a little trivia with us. If you get 3 questions in a row, you're going to be heading up to Truist, as far as we know.
Quick apology, too, because last Friday we had, Monty and the Pharaoh in with us, right?
Yeah.
With Brian. Those guys are pretty cool. Not knocking wrestling. You guys are all right. But I'm just
knocked it.
But I'm just still saying that's what it is, man. It's a TV show.
You just knocked it.
It's made for TV.
Major League Baseball, the the All-Star Game hats. They're going to be in Arlington, Texas this year. Have you had an opportunity to see the hats?
Yeah, I've seen some of them. Not too happy with it. I hate how every year they have to come out with a new design or you put a new spin on it. And unfortunately, the majority of times, I don't think it goes over too well because unfortunately, when you have to come out with a new idea every year, they're not going to be great ideas all the time.
Yeah, that's true. They're a little different this year. When I first saw them, I'm not a huge fan of the color scheme of them, but, to each their own. If you guys like them, you can go pick them up and maybe get me an Atlanta Braves one, and if you do that, then I will wear it right here on the air. Let's see, what else do we got here? LeBron James, this is a bit of an interesting story. LeBron James is going to be opting out of his contract here in 2024, and that could honestly cost him a little bit of money, which I don't think is a big deal to LeBron James, but the purpose of it is, one, when he opts out, he could sign with any NBA team. So let's say that the team that he's playing with right now, which would be odd, right? They just hired JJ Redick yesterday, the Lakers. If they don't draft Bronny James, could LeBron James say, you know what, all right, I'm going where Bronny goes. So with this, he can choose to go to any NBA team, but also he can now get a no trade clause. So that's one of the things that I guess he would want to not be traded. I could never really see a realm in where
he's decided where he's gone his whole career. What do you mean a no trade clause? Ridiculous, man.
That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying is the reason why he would be opting out of this contract.
He's opting out of this contract right here to probably have money on the table so that they can get his kid. Because you have to draft him. He's already been saying Bronny doesn't want to sign a two-way contract. First of all, what are you smoking, kid? You score 4 points a game. 4 points. You're not a starter. You're not NBA talent. You're at best right now, you're G League, okay? So start on a two-way contract. Don't think of anything better than yourself because, I'm LeBron James's kid, so I immediately get like a full, a share of a contract with the NBA players. Because come on, man, who are you kidding, right? Go out there, learn how to play the game, earn your dues, do it the right way. Now, if you want to keep getting spoon-fed with a silver spoon in your mouth, like old Ricky Schroeder and Alfonso Ribeiro,
I think it's just the way that you talk, but no matter which way you go, sometimes I just want to go the opposite of what you say. Because honestly, I agree with you a lot of the times about Bronny James. I had that standpoint, but the way that I'm just like, you know what? I feel like Bronny James should be in the NBA.
But he's already gotten pandered to his whole entire life.
I feel that.
So why, the NBA? Come on, man! What are you bringing JJ Redick in because you think you're going to groom this kid and make him into some star or something, or whoever drafts him? No, man. If anybody grabs him, it's just because they want to get LeBron James.
That's what's even more curious. Not curious to me, but why is it JJ Redick? Because with every coach that LeBron James has been through here, just with the LA Lakers, it hasn't worked out. But of course, when they first hire him, there's all of these. We're going to be able to do this. We're going to be able to do that. And then by the end of year one, it's all right. Well, things aren't really working out, and by the end of year two, you're already gone. So you're expecting to get at least 3 or 4 years to kind of build something
is a
there.
Noob. He can't come into a locker room and he can't do a Pat Riley move and just throw a bunch of rings out in front of you and say, "Hey, look."
Pat Riley wasn't able to do that when he first went to LA, though.
No, he wasn't. But he developed himself, right? What I'm trying to say though is when you have already a presence, like some of these coaches that have been coaching in the league for a while, they come to a team, doesn't matter if it's full of superstars or just a bunch of bench players, okay? You walk in and you have some kind of credibility already. JJ Redick, he doesn't. His credibility is on TV, what he knows up in his head. And yes, he's a smart basketball guy. Maybe he can parlay that with getting Coach K to maybe coach him up a little bit in the coaching ranks, and maybe he can use him for some information and try to use that brain trust, if you will, to kind of help him out and maybe give him some ideas on some things. But I think it's about control with LeBron. If he's going to stay there, he's got all the control. You said you got a young first-time coach that's never even coached before, and now you're going to one of the most prominent teams in the NBA, right? That with a fan base that's going to expect the world. And what are you going to be able to offer them?
A letdown. Another letdown.
Probably so.
And it takes me to
LeBron
Adrian Griffin with the Bucks last year had a really good record going into the trade deadline, and then they get rid of him for Doc Rivers or not at the trade deadline, after the trade deadline, late into the season, 53 games into the season, and they end up going with Doc Rivers. I don't think that the same thing happens here in year one with JJ Redick, and it does have to do with his relationship with LeBron James, with the podcast that he was doing with LeBron James. He does know X's and O's. There's no one can question that. And I think one of the other things that will, I'm not saying, I don't think that this was necessarily the right hire, but then again, I don't think that there's any such thing as a right hire while LeBron James is essentially running the team. But if we're in an age here where having those more player-friendly coaches are the way to go, we'll see. But also, that's a way for the players to kind of run right over you.
I would say JJ Redick is basically a marionette. LeBron James is pulling the strings. He's nothing but like what you might call puppet regime or something like that, from back in the day. But he's got all the cards. He's holding all the power. LeBron James does. JJ Redick is he's a yes man. He's basically there to be a yes man, I think.
Yeah, I think that it's a little bit less than a yes man, not just there to be a yes man, but I do think that LeBron James sees something in JJ Redick where it is where he can kind of
can manipulate. Exactly right. He can manipulate the situation.
And I will say this, as much as I agree with you that I don't think Bronny James is NBA level, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that that's not a storyline that I'm interested in watching, because I do think that seeing a little father-son duo on the same team.
Who cares if you see a father-son if they're not any good, though? Then it's just like, oh, he's playing with his son, and the son's there just because of who his dad is.
But we don't know what's going to happen, Rick. That's what I'm trying to say is, like, we don't know if he's going to work his way up through G League. We don't know if he's going to just be plotted there.
According to him, he's not going to do G League.
We don't, but it's not up to him. It's up to LeBron James, the general interim manager of
the NBA commissioner, LeBron James.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see what ends up happening with it, but you can't tell me that that's not a compelling storyline. Like, all right, so if LeBron James and Bronny James are on the floor, regardless if it's game one of the season, you're not going to tune into that, or at least try to catch up with the highlights.
I don't care. I can care. I mean, like I said, LeBron, he's been in the league forever already. He's done his stuff. He's won, whatever.
If they played for Philly, you would be.
No, not really. I really don't. Honestly, I really don't like LeBron James and how he carries himself. I would be embarrassed as a Sixers fan to have that guy on my team, because I don't want that kind of circus on my team. All right, I don't want the noise. I don't want, even if we were to win, I don't care. I want to do it the right way. I want to have like a coach, players play, GM, owner. Okay, with no interruption. Do it the right way.
Says the guy who Daryl Morey is the general manager. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Let's give a round of applause on a Friday night to Sparks. Come on in, Sparks. It's all yours.
Good evening, ladies and germs. How y'all doing?
Get this bum off the stage. Boo!
Paul Feinbaum, weeknights, 6 to 10 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, clear and a low of 78 with wind 3 to 7 miles per hour out of the north-northeast. Sunshine tomorrow morning, a light breeze and very warm near 89. Mostly sunny and 90 in the afternoon and evening with a wind coming out of the southwest around 11 miles per hour. 89 and sunshine with a gentle breeze at 8 miles per hour Sunday. This is your Friday's weather brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Life can take us so many places. And at Panama City Toyota, we're here to make sure every drive is worth every minute.
Maybe you want a fun, fuel-efficient car for everyday driving. Or you need a dependable vehicle that really gets the job done. Sometimes it's all about answering the call of the wild. And when you're ready to shop, reserve your vehicle online and choose your options. Or we'll help you in person, even if you started the process at home.
Whatever works for you, always works for us.
You're a real estate agent, not a social media expert, but you absolutely need a professional social media strategy. Stay on top of mind, top of feed, and be in more places. Introducing SocialStackPro.com, a tool for real estate agents that inspires your content with the power of ChatGPT built right in. Try SocialStackPro.com for free. Focus on building your brand, building relationships, and post like a pro with SocialStackPro.com.
You're riding shotgun with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to need some gas money. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Fill her up, please.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is how we do it.
And we are back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're trying to send you up there to Truist Park. Right now, Travis is in the lead with 2 consecutive Braves trivia questions answered. We've got 30 of them, or 25 or so left.
Give it a shot. It's all multiple choice. Come on, people.
Yeah, it's pretty easy stuff, too, for the most part, especially the question that we left off on, which is, if you're a Braves fan, should be pretty much automatic for you guys. So play a little trivia with us, and let's send you up there to Truist Park. Just call the number 850-215-6290. Braves fans, if you're listening and you're not calling, I don't know what's going on. We're trying to send you to Truist Park.
Not a real fan if you don't want tickets for free. I know if we were in Philadelphia right now, the phone lines would be ringing off the hook.
Oh, there you go. Call them out, Caveman.
Can't get seats over there at Citizens Bank, man. It's a tough ticket. It's cheaper to go fly across the country and buy tickets to Phillies games than it is to see them at home.
The number is 850-215-6290. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit more about Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals, a little bit more about Bobrovsky and what should happen tonight in Game 6. But first, we're going to talk some fantasy football. And with that being said, we're going to play little fantasy breakout scenarios here. Not necessarily scenarios as much as it is this or that player has the better opportunity to break out. Let's go over to Justin from Callaway over there in our neck of the woods. Justin, what's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
We're doing
great, man. Thanks for calling.
Yes, sir. Who scored the winning run to win the National League Championship for the Braves in 1992? Was it Sid Bream, Steve Avery, Mark Lemke, or David Justice? You got 5 seconds to answer that one.
That one was Sid Bream.
Yes, sir, Justin. So you're off to a good start here. You've got 1 on the board. You just need 2 more to grab the tickets for now, to grab the lead for the tickets. The War Chant music played by the Atlanta Braves is a recording of what university's band? Is it Kansas State University, University of Florida, Boston University, or Florida State University? You've got 5 seconds. 5.
I'm hoping it's Florida State.
You are correct. That is 2 down. That might have been one of the easier ones. Are you a Florida State fan or a Florida fan?
I'm a Florida State fan.
Hey, there you go, man. Which one of these major league pitchers both won and lost 20 games in a single season? Is it Nolan Ryan, Phil Niekro, Steve Carlton, or Cy Young? 5, 4.
Nolan Ryan.
Is that your final answer? Ooh. 3, 2, 1.
We'll go with Carlton.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thanks for playing with us, Justin. As of now, you are tied with Travis, so we'll have to figure out a tiebreaker on how we're going to send you guys up there to Truist Park, all right? But for now, you are tied. Thanks so much for playing along with us, Justin.
Talk to you later.
Yes, my man. Dude, I want to do a segment where we just come up with the best memes of what's going on.
I feel so sorry for that chick's dad.
Well, they have, the internet has come together and finally figured out who the Hawk Tua girl is. Yeah. Haley Welch is her name.
Okay, I didn't catch the name. But
yeah, her name's Haley Welch. Oh, man.
Poor guy, though. Like I said, that dad. Whew.
Yeah, no doubt. That man, I remember, I felt like I saw that video like a year or 2 ago and didn't really think anything of it because it was just one of those stupid things that you see or whatever. And then over the last, 3 or 4 days, it has just
timing
been
is so huge when it comes with just viral, little stupid stuff like that. Like, you remember a couple years ago, there was a guy riding a skateboard listening to the Stevie Nicks song with the ocean spray, and for whatever whatever reason and went viral. Everybody loved it. And then the guy ends up with like a brand new truck loaded down with ocean spray cranberry juice and stuff. And it's like, really, dude? Just because of a video you did, you know? Pretty crazy.
Just because of a video you did. 850-215-6290. We have a tie between Travis and Justin. They've got 2 questions right. We've got a bunch of questions left here. All of them are multiple choice. Braves fans, 850-215-6290. Let's send you up there to Truist Park. Give us a holler right now on the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida taking care of you all summer long, trying to get you guys up there to Truist Park. Your next opportunity is going to be for the day after our Independence Day, July 5th. But right now we're playing trivia. That is the way we're going to send you up there, and you got 5 questions. If you get all 5 in a row, man, we're automatically going to be sending you up there to Truist Park to see the Braves take on the Pirates. So let me hear from you, Braves fans. Let's get back into some fantasy football here, Caveman Rick, and we're looking at breakouts here, all right? So with that being said, I've got a few options for us, and we're going to start out at quarterback, all right? Anthony Richardson, last year, looked great for the first couple of games. Then he got injured and was out for the rest of the season. At that point, Jaden Daniels is the other option. So who are you going with? Who has the breakout season this year?
Kind of tough on both these. Anthony Richardson, he's obviously had some time in the league, so he's a little bit more experienced. I think Jaden Danielson overall, though, might be the more electrifying, player. Might even have the higher ceiling when it's all said and done, even though I think Richardson's a little bit more athletic overall. But I think just based off of where they're playing right now, division-wise and what have you, I think Richardson would probably have the better opportunity because he's in a weaker division. So that would give him an opportunity to probably get more wins. And unfortunately, that's pretty much how we determine these things, is by wins and losses, right? So because of that, I would think Richardson would probably have better numbers, or at least, more wins probably by the time it's said and done.
Yeah, so 2023, 577 passing yards, 136 rushing yards, 7 total touchdowns, 1 interception to go along with that, and surprised the crap out of me, honestly. I think that he was a lot more accurate than what we expected out of him after seeing some of the tape and some of the passes live there from Florida, and to come up there with the Colts and to be, if he learns how to slide, I think that he could be a weapon, a force to be dealt with in the NFL. And you're right, he plays in an easier division. They've got him ranked as the 8th quarterback going into this year as far as PPR leagues are concerned. Now, a lot of that has to do with his legs and what he brings to the table. Jaden Daniels is a question mark. They've got him coming in at 13th, over 129th overall. That's going to be tough because will he, with the lack of experience against the speed there in the NFL, will he be able to last? So I would agree with you on this one. I would go with Anthony Richardson. However, I do have some hope for Jaden Daniels. I'm just worried about he's thin. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's
he is
what I was
a little
saying
bit
about
more
the
thin.
athleticism with Richardson, yeah. But who knows? Maybe he can end up being like the next C.J. Stroud and have a season like he did last year.
There you go. We'll move on to the running back position here. James Cook. Last year, he had 1,000 rushing yards, 1,122. He had 44 receptions for 445 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he averaged 13.7 points per game. Then we're going to go over to Las Vegas, who has Zamir White, old Zeus, 451 rushing yards last year, 15 receptions, 98 receiving yards, 1 touchdown, and he averaged 4.4 fantasy points per game. However, last year, he wasn't the lead back. That role was held by Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a Green Bay Packer this year. Who do you have to be the breakout running back this year? Are you going to go with James Cook, Buffalo Bills, who lost Stephon Diggs? You could see a lot of them this year, or Zamir White, who's going to be taking over the role as the lead back for the Raiders?
This is a tough one. Zamir White, I don't know if he's going to be able to duplicate what he did last season, not having Josh Jacobs there. Now he's like the number 1 guy pretty much, so all the attention is going to be on him. Whereas James Cook, he wasn't the number 1 guy, last season up there, in Buffalo, but they really haven't, had a huge or prolific running game for some time, and they utilize passing quite a bit. Defense, division-wise, I think they're both on par with the amount of competition they have on both of them. So I don't think either one of them's got an edge as far as where they play. I just think overall, Cook will probably end up getting, I think, more touches than White. So because of that, I think Cook. I think, you got a little bit more of a mystery there in Buffalo, bringing in a lot of, youth. He's been there. So I think because of that, James Cook, yeah.
Yeah, James Cook. That's a good option right there. I'm going to go in the opposite direction for this one. I'm going to go with Zamir White with not knowing, is it going to be Aiden O'Connell? Is it going to be Gardner Minshew? I think that they're going to try to run the ball a lot under Antonio Pierce this year. Of course, you've got the weapons over there in Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams. I think that this team is better set up for Gardner Minshew to be leading this team, and I do hope that the Raiders go that direction because I would like to see Antonio Pierce hold on to his job here. I was so glad that they actually stuck with the interim coach, but I think that Zamir White, who was a decent running back over there at Georgia, I think that with this being his team this year, or him being the lead back, I think that he's got a higher opportunity to break out this year. James Cook did a great job. I would say to some extent he broke out last year because the year prior just wasn't what people were expecting out of him. So I'll go with Zamir White for me to be the breakout running back. Kyle Albritton is going to be rolling with Cook. Oh, and interesting, Kyle Albritton took Jaden Daniels over Anthony Richardson, saying that he is a bum. We'll go to two other running backs here. And that's going to be Brian Robinson or Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker last year had 905 rushing yards, 29 receptions, 259 receiving yards, 9 tutties, averaging 13.3 points per game. And he's going up against Brian Robinson, who had 733 rushing yards, 36 receptions, 368 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns, for 13.2 fantasy points per game.
Kenneth Walker III is a strong running back. Out of the two, I actually like him more than Robinson, but I'm going to pick Robinson between these two, again, because of where Robinson's playing. I think Kenneth Walker in the NFC West is going to be, a lot tougher for him, running around trying to not get killed by some of those guys on the other side of the ball. Whereas Brian Robinson, they got a wealth of talent over there in Washington. You got a new quarterback starting there, but because of that, to try to help him out, what's a quarterback's best friend usually? A good running game, right?
Right.
So go ahead and hand the ball off, take some of the load off of a young quarterback. So because of that, I think Brian Robinson probably will get a fair amount of touches. And the only thing that I worry about him is, obviously where he plays in the NFC East. He has a lot of good competition there. But that all being said, I think I'd rather have Robinson. I think he's going to break out more.
I'm going to differ with you on this one as well, as we're still taking calls here for Braves Trivia, 850-215-6290. We're looking for someone to top the number of 2 questions answered. You can call us now, 850-215-6290. Taking your calls until the end of the show today, trying to send you to Atlanta to see the Braves take on the Pirates. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker because the addition over there at the running back position for the Washington Commanders, Austin Eckler coming over. So that's going to be, I think that's one of the moves that hasn't been talked about a lot this year. The Chargers wanted to run a running back 300 times this year. I guess Austin Eckler wasn't really ready for that. I think he would, but I think he's great in the receiving game. So that's going to have Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler and possibly another running back splitting carries there, because that's been something that we've become accustomed to in Washington, right? A running back by committee type situation. Kenneth Walker, I believe that this is going to be a breakout year for him. You got Ryan Grubb coming over there to be the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm really liking what Kenneth Walker III can bring to the table this year. I'm looking at a top 12 running back as far as fantasy is concerned this year. So I like Kenneth Walker. Then we'll go over to a couple of wide receivers here. Garrett Wilson or Christian Watson. Garrett Wilson last year, 95 receptions. He had 1,042 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging 12.6 fantasy points per game. And then for Christian Watson, 28 receptions, 422 yards, 5 touchdowns, 11.3 fantasy points per game. He dealt with a lot of injuries last year as well. Which of those 2 wide receivers would you be rolling with, or who do you think breaks out?
For me, this is easy. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. All those numbers you just said he put up with, that was with junk quarterbacks without Aaron Rodgers, right? And he's going to have a pretty good quarterback this season. So you could take all those numbers and realistically, do 1.5 times what he did. imagine. So, but what's that figure out to like 1,500, 1,600 yards? You know? So, I think they got a wealth of weapons over there. They got Breece Hall, got a good running game. Christian Watson, he had those injuries last year. Again, you got Jordan Love, who's up and coming, has been playing pretty well. You know, they're gonna have Josh Jacobs over there too. You know, running the ball. But overall, I think with all the hype and not having Aaron Rodgers last season, I think the New York Jets just overall are just going to be all in and just trying to put up numbers. Just to try to make Aaron Rodgers even look better. He wants to look good, I'm sure, from being gone, last season. And how can you do that as a quarterback? Hit your wide receivers, man.
3 years into the league now. Now, a couple of years ago, Garrett was averaging 17.6 points per game, and that was because of Joe Flacco and Mike White. Last year, he was dealing with a lot of Zach Wilson, so I do think that changes things, and I have to agree with you. Christian Watson last year was dealing with a lot of hamstring injuries. Now you add into the mix Josh Jacobs coming over there, which could take away some of the targets from Christian Watson if they do get a little bit more run heavy, which would be a good thing for the Green Bay Packers. I mean, obviously, the Green Bay Packers had a good running back last year in Aaron Jones, so they're not going to be moving too far away from the run game, and Aaron Jones actually would take more receptions away from you than what I think Josh Jacobs will. But I would agree with you that it's going to be Garrett Wilson who has the higher opportunity, the better opportunity to be the breakout wide receiver in this case. We're going to go over to Joseph, who's right here in Panama City getting ready for the Braves. Joseph, what is going on, my friend?
Just taking it easy and listen to you right now and then get ready for the Braves.
Yeah, man. You think the Braves beat the Yankees tonight?
I hope so. They beat them.
I hope so, too, man. We've got a good one on the mound tonight. And Chris Sale, he's going up against Carlos Rodon. But let's get into some trivia here. Which MLB team did the Braves acquire John Smoltz from in a trade for Doyle Alexander? Was it the Toronto Blue Jays, the Montreal Expos, the Boston Red Sox, or the Detroit Tigers? We've got 5 seconds on the clock for you, starting now.
The Milwaukee Brewers.
That wasn't even an option. I'll read you the options here real quick.
Okay.
Toronto Blue Jays, Montreal Expos, Boston Red Sox, or Detroit Tigers?
Oh, Detroit Tigers, I believe.
Yes, sir. You are right, Joe. That's one off the board for you. We're going to keep on rolling. Who was the only Atlanta Braves pitcher to throw a no-hitter in the 1990s? Was it Kent Mercker, Pete Smith, Tom Glavine, or John Smoltz? 5 seconds on the clock. That is incorrect, Joseph. We appreciate you playing. Thanks so much for the call, my friend.
You're welcome. Thanks.
All right, go Braves. 850-215-6290. All you got to do is get 3 questions right in a row, and then you've got 4 tickets, a family 4-pack. And these are not just, nosebleed seats or anything. We're not just putting you up there. I believe there's going to be second deck. They're going to be beautiful seats, and it's going to be a great time as well. So if you want to go to Atlanta to see the Braves take on the Pirates next Friday, all you got to do is give us a call and play a little trivia with us. We've got some more trivia questions, and they're all multiple choice, which is a little different than what we normally do here on the Afternoon Underdogs, where you got to give us the right answer, but we do have to take a break. So go ahead and call that line now. Get on the air with us and play some trivia. This is the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Here's what's happening.
Are you tired of dynasties? Sick of seeing Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs hoist the Super Bowl trophy or the Oklahoma Sooners in their 4th consecutive softball championship? Then you should stop what you're doing right now. Go to ESPNPC.com and vote for the Afternoon Underdogs for Best of Bay. As Americans, I like to think we still root for the underdogs. It was just over 200 years ago that the British blew a 13-colony lead, and now here we are. Vote for the Afternoon Underdogs today.
At Brock Lawn and Pest Control, we're proud to be awarded the distinction of being Quality Pro certified.
Our technicians have passed rigorous training in eco-friendly application and prevention of pest treatments.
Part of the program is the practice of integrated pest management.
IPM's goal is to prevent pests from ever entering your home. It includes inspection, prevention, education, and, when necessary, application.
We're proud to be Quality Pro certified.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, the standard and level of trust.
With With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
As the weather heats up, so do the Braves. And they're showing the National League that they're still a force to be reckoned with.
3-2, that's hit very well to deep center field. That's heading back towards the batter's eye and way out of the ballpark.
Tonight, Matt Olson and the Braves head to the Big Apple to take on Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees.
First pitch for the Braves, 6:05, with Chris Sale taking a mound against the Yankees. Your home of the Atlanta Braves, ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's real, and it starts now. Back to the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on? You are back in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher, and we've got Matt right here in beautiful Panama City on the line with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to play a little trivia with you, Matt. Matt, you a Braves fan?
Yeah.
All of these questions are going to be centered around the Atlanta Braves. How do you think they fared tonight against the New York Yankees?
I'm rooting for them.
There we go. Which of these? Actually, let's go back to who was the only Atlanta Braves pitcher to throw a no-hitter in the 1990s? Was it Kent Mercker, Pete Smith, Tom Glavine, or John Smoltz? You've got 5 seconds.
Kent Mercker.
You are right. We'll keep on rolling. And which of these Braves players finished second to Hideo Nomo in a NL Rookie of the Year voting? Was it Andrew Jones, Clarence Jones, or Chipper Jones? They made that one easy.
It's going to be Andrew Jones.
No, my friend. It was actually Chipper Jones back there. That was coming second to Hideo Nomo. So we're going to have to drop the call right there. But thank you so much for playing along with us, Matt.
I appreciate it.
All right, 850-215-6290. We just need someone to get to 3. If not, we're going to figure out a way in these final few minutes to figure out how to break this tie. I think I got a good one. I think hopefully Travis or Justin are still listening, and whichever one calls in first is going to end up getting the family 4-pack. But we're looking for someone to get to 3 before we have to break the tie. We've got a few more questions. We had Morgan Hilliard on the line with us, or not on the line, in the building with us yesterday, and she was chatting about the College World Series, breaking down really what Texas A&M and their run that they've had this season. And she's already called a couple of things correctly. It will be Ryan Prager, who she is the #1 fan of Ryan Prager. If anyone knows Ryan Prager or could tag him in the Facebook post from yesterday, and hopefully execute a meetup between Morgan.
Kind of like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
There you go. Yeah, make that happen for us. But yeah, she did call. Ryan Prager will be on the bump to go for the Texas A&M Aggies, and also Laviolette will be. He's expected to play. The hamstring is still, a little iffy for him, but he should be playing. And she did a great job yesterday coming on and spending some time with the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll have her back after the conclusion of the College World Series, and then we're just going to make her our Texas A&M correspondent for football, because she did a great job. We got a lot of love from her from the listeners. If Lynn Haven Robb texted in and say you should have her back, then it's like, automatically.
Yeah, she was very informative. Had a lot of good stuff to talk about. Was good on the microphone too. Good presence, if you will. We talk about sometimes. Having to do this kind of thing, and just kind of person. Real nice. Deserves a lot of respect. So keep her coming back.
Texas A&M, Tennessee. Who you rolling with?
Probably Tennessee.
Tennessee?
Yeah, Texas.
Bryce Harper is as well.
Texas A&M is just, I don't know, one of them schools. It just seems they get a lot of hype all the time. It's not necessarily warranted. I mean, this is college baseball. It's a little bit different than football. Because coming in, weren't they pretty heavily favored coming in, I think? A&M?
Tennessee?
Yeah. No, A&M.
I would say that Tennessee was the overall favorite for most people, and I would say Texas A&M was the team who I was riding with.
Okay, I thought a lot of people were riding that bus with Texas A&M, but now, like I said, just because of all the stuff that they had in the past, Tennessee.
I think people like the side of the bracket that Texas A&M was on. So there is that. I'm going to go with Texas A&M because that's who I picked before the College World Series started. And secondly, I like their pitching staff, and I like how patient they are at the plate. You're going to go with the orange.
Yeah, I got the orange on.
There you go.
So
It's a little bit different of an orange, though. That orange doesn't make me puke as much as the...
it's still looking like you're going out to go shoot some deer or something.
There you go.
Or work for the DOT.
850-215-6290. We're trying to give you guys a family 4-pack to Truist Park to see the Braves take on the Pirates next Friday. That's June 28th. Max Fried is going to be on the bump. It's a family 4-pack of tickets. They're going to be really good seats, and you can go just by answering a few trivia questions. Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight, and you were mentioning after we talked about it during the break earlier in the show of what the Panthers should do if the Oilers come out tonight and just dominate Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah, how do you go back to Sergei Bobrovsky if you end up losing this game tonight? That was the question I brought up because he's already got shellacked in the last 2 games. I've already mentioned about how he's a kind of a streaky goaltender, and he is kind of like, well, for lack of a better term, kind of a nutcase. I mean, if you should have seen and heard some of the stuff that was coming out of his mouth back when he played for Philly, just a lot of off-the-wall kind of things. But that's kind of typical with goaltenders. I mean, we were talking the other day about Patrick Wall talking to the goalposts and that list you had about the superstitions. So, but yeah, if he was to lose tonight, I don't see how you can go to him in a game 7 and expect him to like win you that game and to win the series for you. I think at that point, you definitely got to go to somebody else. So I'd be really interested to see what happens tonight in this game, no matter how many goals get scored. Because if you think you're going to need Sergei Bobrovsky for game 7, I don't think you can yank him early in this game. Okay? Even if he gets 5 or 6 put on him, I think you're just going to have to just deal with it, let the goals get put on him and keep him in there. Because I think if you keep yanking him, you're really going to destroy his confidence. And then I don't think you're going to have much to look forward to for a game 7.
There you go. We're going to go over to Scott, who is also in Callaway. He's about to get him some good old pizza. Scott, what's going on, my friend?
I'm sitting in the drive-thru at Domino's.
Yeah, there you go, my man. All right, so let's get into some trivia here. Which one of these guys has previously managed the Atlanta Braves? Was it Davey Johnson, Joe Torre, Dick Williamson, or Ray Knight?
Joe Torre.
Yes, sir. We'll keep on rolling right there. The Atlanta Braves started out in which city? Milwaukee. They've always been in Atlanta. Boston or New York?
Boston.
You are correct. You've got 2 in a row, and if you get one more, you're going to Atlanta next Friday. Which of these Atlanta Braves once hit 4 home runs in one game? Was it?
Bob Warner.
Don't even got to read off any. You are going to Truist Park, my man. How big of an Atlanta Braves fan are you?
1972 All-Star game in Atlanta was my first professional game. I went with my grandfather.
How? Oh, man. Have you been to Truist Park yet?
Yes, I went last Friday, Father's Day weekend.
Awesome, man. Well, we're really excited to send you up there. You're going to be seeing the Braves take on the Pirates. I don't think Paul Skeens is going to be on the bump.
Jared Jones is setting to start right now against Mac Fried from looking on my phone right now.
That's who I was thinking that it was going to be. But you will get to see one of our best pitchers in Max Fried. Hey, Scott, who's your favorite Brave of all time?
Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones, man. Can't go wrong with that. Well, do us a favor. Hang on the line real quick. Bone Crusher's going to grab your email so we can send you those tickets. Thank you so much for playing along.
Thanks, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks to everybody else that played, too.
Yeah, no doubt. We had, 6 contestants today, and that was a lot of fun. And Scott comes in right there, right before the bell, and gets
That's
the
a
job
fan
done.
right there. You don't even have to give them the options or even finish the answer. If you got it, you're on it, man. You know.
We had some pretty easy questions that were missed today, but
well, I mean, like if you're a Braves fan, like some of those I didn't know the answer to.
Yeah,
like,
no doubt.
Obviously, I'm not a Braves fan.
But I was gonna say is like that little stretch right there that which of the guys had previously managed the Braves, like Joe Torre.
Did Ray Knight ever manage at all? I just know he's like the guy that scored the winning run in the Buckner play for the Mets. And that's what he's famously known for.
I don't know if he ever managed it all, but I do know that he never managed the Atlanta Braves.
He's also married to Nancy Lopez if they're still together, that women's golfer.
Well, there you go. The more you know.
Facts.
Yeah, so Stanley Cup final, Game 6 tonight. If the Edmonton Oilers put a lot of goals, bury a lot of goals against Bobrovsky, you've already seen his confidence be a little shaky. So you'd think that, if you're Paul Maurice, do you go a different direction for Game 7?
like I said, if you lose this game and you have to go to a game 7, I don't see how you can go to Sergei Bobrovsky right off the rip. I think you have to at least maybe start up with your backup and kind of go from there. If he's, if this is one of those games too, where I guess he has a good game, the game maybe goes to overtime, or it's like a 2-1 or 1-0 kind of finish or whatever, and he did have a good game, then I can see, maybe start and go to him. But if it's anything like the last couple of games, the way Edmonton's been putting pucks in the net, you can't do it. I myself as a head coach, I couldn't do it. How do you go? Go to your teammates, go to your players and say, hey, how would you guys want to, maybe start even, so that they can go into the game and they can have confidence in knowing that the guy that they trust is behind them to stop the pucks, Because if you go into the game with somebody that you don't have faith in, I don't know, man. That's a tough ask. It might make you to do a lot of things you don't normally do out of character, and a lot of times if you do that, it's probably not going to work well for you.
That's a good point. Can't wait for Game 6 tonight. Hopefully we get a Game 7. I know that I would like to see Florida hoist the cup. We did have Andrew Weiss on the line with us last week, and he did get me to kind of change my rooting stance as far as, it would be nice to see Edmonton win the cup, but it's still, Florida for me over, Canada. But I would love to see Game 7. There's nothing better than Game 7, especially if you're not a fan of the teams that are playing.
And then if a Game 7 were to go to overtime, too. Next puck in the net, man, for the cup. That's huge right there. Sudden death OT. That's what you want to see.
I would absolutely love it. Also, you had yesterday, the Copas are going on right now in the world of soccer, and you had Argentina and Canada playing yesterday, and Argentina did get the win over Canada 2-0, but they were talking about the pitch. 2 weeks, or not even 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, MLS teams were playing on it. I believe Atlanta was playing on it, and they had the turf there, but then they changed it over to panels of grass and painted it to make it look more green, and the soccer players were not very happy about that, which is just one of those things. Like, you change it over to grass for the soccer players, but the football players who've been asking for this for a while, who play more games on it than the soccer players, I don't get it. And if you have situations like you do in Arizona, which I get, the climate over there, you have to roll the grass out, roll it back in, all of that good stuff. But why can't you, as much money as we pour into these stadiums, have something figured out to where we could have real authentic grass on the field for these players?
First off, owners don't want to pay for stadiums. They don't want to flip the bill. We already know that.
They want to make us pay for it.
Exactly. So that's not going to happen, because when there's money involved, ultimately who's going to pay for it? It would be us. Ticket prices would go through the roof, beer prices at the stadium, merchandise, blah, blah, blah. So ultimately, if we want that kind of thing, people need to pump the brakes and think about what they really want, because if they really want this and they get it, you're going to be paying for it. Make no mistake, you will be paying. Nobody else but the fan will be paying for that. So be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And then, like what we talked about, all these streaming services, people complained before about cable and cable prices, right? Well, now you're on par with what you were paying for cable or more to have all these streaming services that you want to have, so that you can watch all the programming that you want to see.
Who's the first player you think of all time when it comes to the Florida Panthers?
All time, probably two people from back when they, in 95, 96, when they, played and lost to Colorado and got swept the year of the Rat. Either John Van Beesbrook, the goaltender, he had won as the backup with Mike Richter in the 94 Stanley Cup final with the Rangers, so he was kind of well known. And then, of course, the Rat assassin himself, Scott Mellenby, used to be a Philadelphia Flyer himself, so why not him too?
All right, for me, it's Olli Jokinen.
Olli Jokinen?
Yeah, that's going to be the guy that I most remember, like, from my childhood.
One guy that I hated when he was there was Ed Jovanowski, because he was a good defenseman, and because of him, hitting guys on my team and laying some checks and whatnot on there, I didn't like him too much.
First player that you think of that comes to mind when you think Edmonton Oilers?
Of course, you got to go with Gretzky, but if you don't pick him, I guess for me, second, Grant Fuhr was a really good goaltender back then, so I think about him a bunch. And then a couple of the guys that kind of get lost when people talk about the Edmonton Oilers and their dynasty talk. Everybody mentions Gretzky, everybody talks about Fuhr, everybody talks about Messier and whatnot, but the two foreign guys that made it, work quite a bit, Esa Tikkanen and Jari Kurri.
Jari Kurri, that's a good one. For me, it would have to be, Gretzky, because I don't know much about him, but then one other one would be Chris Pronger, and I don't remember if that was before or after his stint with the St. Louis Blues.
Oh, Pronger, that was after the fact. Pronger got traded to the St. Louis Blues when he was very young. He played for the Hartford Whalers and was drafted by them. And when he got traded to St. Louis, he got traded for, God, forgive me, St. Louis favorite winger. Geez, I can't think of his name right now. It's
have no idea.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but he was a fan favorite, and he got traded. Brendan Shanahan.
Now, I do remember that name for sure.
And Mike Keenan was the guy. He was the coach of the St. Louis Blues. He was there when we had Wayne Gretzky, because I was living in St. Louis when all that went down. But boy, when that trade went down, the ire of the St. Louis Blues fans for them getting rid of Brendan Shanahan. Little quick side note on that: the reason why Brendan Shanahan got moved, and I heard this at a trading card store from a kid that was supposedly the son of another Blues player, but Brendan Shanahan had an affinity for other Blues players' wives, and that helped him get out the door.
Well, there you go. Kind of similar to Eric Lindros, right?
Yeah. If you believe the stories about Eric Lindros with Rod Brendamore's woman as well.
There you go.
Sir.
Man, great week over here on the Afternoon Underdogs. Thankful for all of you who listened, played along with us, played trivia this week, and especially today. Congratulations to Scott. You're going to be heading over there to Truist Park next Friday. Just was there last week for Father's Day. It's going to be headed back. We'll be back Monday. You guys have a great weekend. Be safe. Atlanta Braves coming up next right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, taking on those Yankees. Hopefully the Braves sail away with a win tonight underneath the pitching of Chris Sale.
Let's see Game 7.
Jesus loves you, so do I. Y'all have a great weekend.
America's team plays here.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out. That's number 10.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Charlie Morton, Max Fried, and Chris Sale lead the Braves' dominant pitching rotation.
That's 18 up, 18 down.
Sponsored by Panama City Toyota, LS Agency Insurance, Bestway Portable Buildings, PCB Hobby, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Got him swinging, strike 3.